Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Well, I started to mention to Laurel just seconds ago, I said we're adding a new segment to the show, and then it occurred to me we don't really have any segments. So we're not adding a new segment to the show, we're adding a segment to the show, because we don't have segments, right? So coming up at 5:25, something we've created just for you, our listeners. What you missed while you're at work today. Here's what you missed while you're at work today. So we're just going to do rapid headlines of all of the stories that broke while you were at work today. Okay, that'll be coming up at 5:25 this afternoon. In the meantime, oh man, today is what we call in the news business a target-rich environment. We had a lot of news today. We learned that Hunter Biden did not plead guilty to the two charges he was facing in a plea deal that he had worked out, a sweetheart plea deal. The judge wasn't having it. So Hunter Biden ended up pleading not guilty. He was supposed to plead guilty as part of a plea deal. He ended up pleading not guilty. Plus, Joe Biden today doing what Joe Biden does best, and that is the excellent gaffe machine that he is. He today took credit for curing cancer. Now, I don't know if you know this, but cancer has been cured. Well, that is going to be great news for so many people around the globe as Joe Biden announces today that cancer has been cured. We'll get to that coming up in a few minutes. Speaking about octogenarians that are well past their expiration date, Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican, today during a news conference absolutely locks up. I mean, he starts a news conference, he's halfway through a word, and then he just stops talking. And nothing else comes out of his mouth. And you're going to be able to hear that coming up in just a moment, so stick around for that. Plus, and here I think is the big story, UFOs, unidentified flying objects, or what are they calling them now? Unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs. Unidentified aerial phenomenon, not UAF. Phenomenon starts with a P. Unidentified aerial phenomenon and alien life forms, or as they prefer to call them, non-human life forms, are real, we're told. Now, I want to start there. Do you believe that? Do you believe that aliens actually exist? Now, I want to play some of this for you from the hearing that took place today. Here's the report from Fox News.
Former intelligence officer David Grush, who claims he led the task force for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency looking into unidentified aerial phenomena, was asked under oath if the government has UAPs in its possession.
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
Grush saying at a House oversight hearing on UAPs, he knows the exact locations where they're being kept, and those locations were given to the Inspector General. He tells lawmakers the U.S. government became aware of non-human intelligence in the 1930s. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
So aliens have been around since the 1930s, where we are to believe. And we have known about them since the 1930s. More from today's testimony.
All four of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down saw a white tic-tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping-pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings.
More again from today's hearing.
UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena.
Now, I'm going to go on record again. I mentioned this earlier in the week. It might have been last night. I don't know. It all blurs together after a while. But I remain one of those people who believes that we are alone in the universe. I don't think there is any such thing as intelligent alien life forms. Could there be microbial life on other planets? Yeah, possible. But I don't believe, and sadly, I think we are the most intelligent species in all of the universe, of all that is space and time. We are, regrettably, the most. I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud to say that we're the pinnacle, we're the best, but I believe that we are the pinnacle and we are the best. Of course, your mileage may vary. What do you think? 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. Do you think we're alone in the universe, or do you believe the testimony today that we have been aware of alien life form and alien spacecraft since the 1930s?
If you think we are alone in the universe in this day and age, you are a very weak-minded person.
Well, that seems insulting. That doesn't mean I'm a weak-minded person. In fact, I'm very strongly have made my mind on this. I'm a strong-minded person. I don't believe that there are aliens.
Hey, Joe, let's think about this.
All right.
Aliens must be Republicans, and we are the illegal aliens here on Earth.
Huh, that's interesting.
So they send out soldiers every so often to check on us to make sure we're not coming up into their area anytime soon. They're worried about this Elon Musk fella.
So that's interesting. So from that perspective, what you're saying, and at first I thought you were kidding, but I think you were being serious there. I think what you're saying is that aliens are concerned that we're going to leave the planet, that we're going to go muck up other people's home worlds. And honestly, that sounds like a human thing we would do. Maybe I have seen too many movies, but if there is alien life form, I could see aliens being concerned about humanity because we might well just show up and bring our human misery with us and infect the aliens as well.
Aliens, really? Come on. Dear Lord, have mercy upon this country. It's bad enough that there are people out there who still believe that Biden is doing a good job. Now they want to go ahead and say that aliens exist?
That is what they are saying. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. Let's go to Linda, who's checking in from Claremont. Linda, you're on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
So you are down for aliens, that there are alien life forms.
I am down for aliens, and the reason is my Aunt Annabelle, who was not an alien, but she was a longtime resident of Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay.
And a very long time ago, when I was a little kid and my mother was dragging me all over the West to visit various siblings, and we're at Annabelle's place, and for whatever reason, she's cooking or whatever, and she out comes a statement that an alien spacecraft crashed here in 19 whatever the year is, and one of the aliens was still alive. At that point, I had never heard of the incident at Roswell. I had never heard of anything suggesting someone had any evidence that, gee, there's aliens out there and they have been here. And it was something about just a matter of fact, the way she said it. And she also said that the government decided to cover it up, but we live here and we know the truth. It's the casual, matter of fact way she did it. There's no doubt in her mind, and I'm guessing no doubt in the minds of the vast majority of people who lived in Roswell at the time. Roswell is not that big today. Back then, it's got to been a lot smaller. You know, one of those little towns where everyone knows everyone and everything.
And Linda, I'm not going to try to change your mind on this or change your opinion. In fact, I rarely ever seek to change anybody's opinion on anything. I simply state my opinion, and then I ask you to share yours and see where we can find common ground. But you have that much faith in, and I'm sorry, did you say it was your aunt?
Yes.
So you have that much faith in your aunt or aunt. That has always stuck with you, and consequently, you have always then thus believed in alien life forms, intelligent alien life forms.
Well, once I started hearing about it from other people, it's like, this did not come out of our imagination, which I didn't think it did anyway.
So, and that's where I run into trouble, because the primary reason why I do not believe in aliens, and yesterday or day before, I touched on my Christian faith that certainly complicates matters when it comes to the possibility of alien life forms, intelligent life. But the primary reason why I do not believe in the existence of intelligent alien life forms is because if this has been happening since the 1930s, I just find it entirely implausible, if not impossible, that many people could keep a secret for so very long. Now, that having been said, there are plenty of people who are talking today. So maybe it is finally caught up that the people who do have the evidence of alien life forms are finally feeling empowered enough to come forward and tell the, quote unquote, truth about alien life forms. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. And people with firsthand accounts, if you go back as far as Roswell, obviously the whistleblower type was talking about more than Roswell. But if you go specifically to Roswell, those people with firsthand info, they're getting really old and may figure, okay, I don't care who says I'm crazy. It's time for me to tell what I know.
Yeah, I get that. I understand what you're saying, Linda. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you called. And thank you for listening out there in Claremont. We really do appreciate that. I just saw a comment from Terry in our chat group. Terry says, I think I could do Joe's job. He's been watching me on the video. He says, you take your headphones off and then you put them on. You move the microphone to the left, then you move the microphone to the right, and then you run your finger through your hair to look great. Yes, Terry, that's pretty much all I do. I think you could certainly have a job in radio, no doubt about it. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Or you can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Coming up at 5:25 in just a few minutes, while you're at work today, we're going to cover all the headlines that broke while you're at the office today. Be it if you were down in the mines today, maybe the great sequin mines. Maybe you're out there on the factory floor at the widget factory making those things. If you're on the sales floor, if you're in the cubicle farm, wherever it was today, if you were working from home but you weren't able to listen to the radio or watch any kind of television news, we're going to have all the headlines that you missed today between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. So this will just be news that broke between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., theoretically stuff that you missed while you were at the office today. And we'll have that for you coming up in just a couple of minutes, so y'all be sure and stick around for that. Let's go to Larry, who's checking in from the Villages. Yeah. Larry, you're on WDBO. How are you?
Well, that was pretty quick. I appreciate it. Intelligent opinions are based on scientific facts. If you look at astrophysiology and the space-time continuums and cosmology, you will see that there is no other solar system that has any structure as ours. It shows that no other planet has gravity, nor close to an energy source of the sun. As you probably know, if you were a mile away from the sun, we'd be frozen to nothing. If we were closer, we'd be burned out. And there's also Venus and Saturn that hold the magnetic pull to keep all the meteorites off of us. We are one type of planet like no other. There's nothing like us. And people assuming that there is, that's where it's based the problem. There's no planet like ours.
So I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that there are no aliens.
No. They can't.
They couldn't sustain life.
There is no planet out there that has the capability of sustaining life as ours. People should study before they open their mind to garbage.
Would you suggest that microbial life could exist somewhere out in the universe somewhere?
It's a really nice idea, but because of the gravitational capability or the sustainability of a sun being in their solar system at the close proximity to sustain life, that would need to be. That's the primary. But there is not one that's been found, nor one that they have set up within the solar system. Within the universe. I'm tired.
That's all right, Larry. Great information. Larry checking in from the Villages. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us here this afternoon. 844-580-WDBO or hit me up in the open mic and the WDBO app.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk.
We're adding a new segment to the show here while you're at work today. So these are the headlines that you might have missed while you were at work today. These are stories that broke between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. this afternoon. So whether you're in your work-from-home environment or you're at the office or on the road or whatever the case may be, these are the headlines you might have missed just because you have a job and have to put food on the table for your family. 7 major automakers say they will nearly double the number of fast electric vehicle chargers in the U.S. and Canada. Those 7 major automakers are BMW, General Motors, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes-Benz Group, and Stellantis. I'm not sure what cars Stellantis makes. Does that name ring a bell to you guys at all? Stellantis?
No.
I know I could Google it, but who has the time? Headline number 2, the Federal Reserve resumes raising interest rates with a 0.25 percentage point increase that'll lift them to a 22-year high. Headline number 3, Kevin Spacey, the disgraced actor, cleared of all charges after a 4-week trial on sexual assault claims in London. Where does that leave Kevin Spacey? Has he been acquitted of all charges thus far? Because I think he has.
I think so. I think he's, facing nothing.
Both here in the United States and abroad.
Correct. Yep.
And by those accounts, does that mean he gets to start acting again? He's no longer canceled?
For somebody that'll hire him.
Well, you know what follows a not guilty is civil suits.
That is true. That is true. He could be facing civil suits, no doubt about that. But it would be weird. I mean, Kevin Spacey, let's be honest. Kevin Spacey was a good actor. He's a good actor, but man, he's creepy. And I don't know that I could ever get past him being creepy ever again. While you're at work today, Irish singer Sinead O'Connor died at the age of 56. That was the big song that you might recognize from Sinead O'Connor. You might also recognize her from she famously or infamously tore up a picture of the Pope once during an appearance on Saturday Night Live. Headline, a crane collapses in Midtown Manhattan, injuring at least 5 people, including a firefighter. Amazing video, by the way. If you want to see the video of that, look for this story in the WDBO app. Hunter Biden's plea deal on 2 tax charges falls apart, at least for now, after a federal judge expresses concern over a related agreement on a more serious gun possession charge. Also, Rudy Giuliani admits that he made false statements in claiming 2 Georgia election workers mishandled ballots during the 2020 election. Next headline, Senator Mitch McConnell freezes up for almost 30 seconds while delivering opening statements at a leadership press conference, prompting murmurs of concern. And finally, a police canine handler who released a dog that attacked an unarmed black man in Ohio has been fired. The handler has been fired, not the dog. The cop has been fired. This dude had his hands up in the air, begging him not to release the dog. The cop released the dog anyway. Those are the headlines you missed while you're at work today.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. In-depth segments on topics that matter to Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I love your show every night. You're doing great, bud.
All right, if you're on hold, hang on. We're going to get back to our talk about aliens coming up in a moment. You're listening to the Art Bell Show. I wonder how Art Bell is doing these days, and he's finally vindicated. Art Bell seems, and then George Noory, both are vindicated. It would seem after all these years of alien talk. I bet I honestly don't know if Art Bell is still alive, dead or alive. Art Bell, do you know, Paul Cross? You think he's dead? Hey Google,
I think he's dead.
Is Art Bell alive?
April 13th, 2018.
He died in Pahrump in 2018. Do you know where Pahrump is? Pahrump, Nevada. It's right outside of Las Vegas. That was where he did the show from. Was Pahrump. All right, so we're going to get back to talking about aliens coming up in a moment. But first, we've got to talk about the breathtakingly old people who lead our government. the Octogenarians. And don't worry, we're not going to just pick on Democrats. We're not just going to pick on Joe Biden, but we'll start with Joe Biden. So here's Joe Biden today saying effectively that he's cured cancer.
Cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We ended cancer as we know it.
We ended cancer as we know it. Now, I think I can adequately speak on behalf of cancer. I think I have spent enough time with cancer that I can speak publicly for cancer. Cancer has not been cured. We still have cancer in our society, sir. The White House, by the way, corrected the president in the transcripts, which is what the White House regularly does. So here's what the president said.
Cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We ended cancer as we know it.
We ended cancer as we know it. The White House changed that to we can end cancer as we know it. So the White House makes corrections for the fumbling, bumbling 81-year-old president or 80-year-old president of the United States. Now, speaking about 81-year-olds, Republican Senator Mitch McConnell stepped up in front of a podium with several senators behind him for his daily news briefing. And you're going to hear a lot of silence here because Mitch McConnell just locks up. And you got to see the video. It's in this story in the WDBO app. The video is more striking than the audio because as Mitch McConnell stops talking, he doesn't look down at his notes. He doesn't look down like he got lost in his notes. He doesn't look at a teleprompter trying to figure out where he is. He doesn't turn to somebody behind him. He just keeps looking forward with a blank look on his face. This is Mitch McConnell earlier today.
We're on a path to... Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDAA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Now, at this point, the Republican senators behind him realize, wait a minute, did Mitch McConnell just lock up? And so they start trying to check on him to see if he's okay and eventually whisk him away from the microphone.
Wait a minute. Are you good? Mitch?
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say? Or should we just go back to your press? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
So one of the Republican senators says, Senator McConnell, do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John.
I'll take that. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
And then that's it. They just leave. He never said another word after that. He just trailed off and never said another word. Is it not time? Is it not time to get rid of the octogenarians that run our government? Do we not need fresh blood? 844-580-WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Paul Cross.
That was scary.
A very youthful man.
That was a scary video.
It was.
Yeah,
It was scary to watch, and I take no pleasure in it with either Biden or with Mitch McConnell. I think they both need to be in an old folks' home eating ice cream every day and watching Matlock reruns. I mean,
I'm telling you,
we are
it
really
looked like he had a stroke. I thought I witnessed a stroke live on TV.
We're at a point where we're seeing elder abuse with all of these old members of Congress and, of course, our president. How's that drive shaping up?
Well, I'll tell you, 429 southbound after West Road, it's looking a lot better. They did have all lanes blocked from a wreck, but they've moved everything to the right shoulder. Traffic now slowly getting back up to speed as you make your way into Orange County. Still seeing some heavy delays. I-4 eastbound out of Longwood all the way up and over the bridge into Volusia County, and also very heavy on the 417 both directions over the Lake Jessup Bridge and into Lake Mary. 408 as well as you make your way into downtown downtown. It starts on I-4 about par, goes on to the 408 eastbound ramp, and then you're locked up all the way to the 417. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. At Staples, school savings are always in session. From art supplies and essentials to the latest tech, in stock and price low. School on, save on at your local Staples store. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Mike is checking in from the Villages. You're on the Joe Kelley Show. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Awesome.
Do you really think there's any money to be made in curing cancer?
Are you asking a conspiratorial question? Are you?
No. I mean, this is the same as, okay, if we came out with something to cure cancer, where's the money to be made? If we came out for a cure for diabetes, where's the money to be made? Well, if we can keep you to get buying the medicine.
Right. So would it not be made in a vaccine? What if there was a vaccine that cured cancer? I mean, would the drug maker not make a lot of money selling that vaccine?
I'm sure they would. Would you take it first?
Yeah, not first. Not after what we learned from the pandemic.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, again, cancer, diabetes.
So here's what I'm hearing from you, Mike. You're saying that there's a lot of money to be made in treating cancer, treating diabetes, but there's not as much money to be made in curing them. Is that what I'm getting?
Correct.
So do you
think...
If
your insurance is going to pay for it, why would they want to cure you? The insurance will pay for it forever.
So do you think then that incentivizes the higher-ups, not the doctors in the field, not the doctors in the trenches, not the researchers in the trenches?
The doctors is already a nightmare. I mean, you go there for an appointment and you wait 3 hours. Does the insurance company get paid for you to sit in the waiting room for 3 hours?
I'm just trying to get...
Do you get paid your hourly rate to sit in the waiting room for 3 hours?
I'm just trying to understand what you're getting at. So are you saying that they are deliberately not curing cancer?
Absolutely.
And believe me that
or diabetes or high blood pressure or anything else for that matter.
Believe me, that has crossed my mind in the past. As someone who has had my own episodes with cancer, that very thought has certainly crossed my mind. But I go back to the alien discussion, and that is, in order for that to be true, you've got to believe a conspiracy. You've got to believe that multiple people are able to keep their mouth shut. And I find it hard to believe that multiple people could tell the same lie for so long.
If they get paid enough money, I think they would keep their mouth closed.
Paid enough money or threatened with death, I suppose, would work.
But they guarantee they have the cure. If they get cancer and they keep their mouth closed, they'll be fine.
Boy, that is really I can't prove you wrong, Mike. I can't prove you wrong, obviously, but I hope that you're wrong.
I do too. And just to let you know, I was on the show last Friday for your Truth or Dare.
You're Mike Gold.
It wasn't Truth or Dare.
Gould.
Yes, that's me.
Yes.
That's me. So I haven't got my shirt yet.
Yeah. Oh, don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud in case.
No, it's okay.
No.
You guys are doing ground shipping. You got to save your money.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, just in case the boss is listening, because I sneak into his office after he's gone, and I take a shirt out of his office, and then I mail it to you. So don't say that.
Hopefully he's a large.
Yeah. So don't say that out loud, okay?
No, I got the shirt. It was awesome, and I can't wait to play next Friday.
All right. Mike, I'm so glad.
Seriously, Joe, you guys are awesome. Keep doing what you're doing and keep pushing what you're pushing, because I think people like me really respect you in what you do.
Mike, that means so much to me. Thank you so much. And
yes, sir.
And that shirt is in the mail, I promise you.
And Paul, I know it's your week for your cat. I do remember, and I don't forget anything. But I hope everything goes good for you.
Oh,
thank you.
I forgot.
Appreciate it very much.
I forgot about the cat.
Now,
I don't forget anything. I'm like an elephant. I love you guys, Mike? And I really hope everything for Paul is better than the traffic right now.
It is so. It's just really kind of weird that you mentioned that, Mike, because this morning at 10 a.m. we had an appointment to put her down, and I canceled the appointment. So she is still with us. She's got more than 9 lives, this cat, I'm telling you. So
it's
amazing. It's amazing that you remembered, but thank you very much.
All I have to say is from Florida, from someone that listens to WDBO, and you guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here for everybody. Thank you.
You've touched my heart, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And honestly, we do this show for you guys, and we always hope and pray and strive to make sure that it's entertaining to our listeners and that there's value to our listeners. And thank you so much for expressing that. We really do appreciate it. More of your calls and comments coming up straight ahead here on The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, the 3 big things you need to know.
3. The NBA is headed south of the border this upcoming season. The league announced today that the Atlanta Hawks and Orlando Magic will play in Mexico City on November 9th. This will be the 32nd game the NBA has played in Mexico since 1992. 2. Close to 1/3 of the U.S. population is under a heat alert. The heat dome over the Southwest continues to break record temperatures. Triple-digit temperatures are also expected in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic this week. 1. Speaking of, scientists warn the ocean temperatures are approaching record levels in Florida's coastal waters. A water temperature buoy south of the Everglades registered just over 100 degrees. Experts say last week that water off of Florida's coast clocked in around 94 degrees, 7 degrees warmer than it should be this time of year.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. News, weather, traffic, all the things you want on your drive home. Plus, Joe Kelley being, well, Joe Kelley. Now, The Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
Hey, Laurel, I'm curious. What was that thing? Now, you mentioned that the water temperature was really hot down in South Florida, like 100 degrees, 101 degrees, which was like hot tub temperature, by the way. Well, what kind of device was it that measured that temperature?
A temperature buoy.
A what?
A buoy.
Yeah, boy. Like that?
Yes, like that.
That's what I thought it was.
You did all
we
the
have to
work
have
to get
gold teeth when we do that, though.
Yeah, boy.
All the work to cue that up.
I know. I went through a lot of work just to get that 2-word laugh there.
He set it up. You stepped right into it. What can we say?
All right. So if you're just joining us here on the Joe Kelley Show, we're talking about aliens. We're talking about our octogenarian lawmakers. And a friend of mine who's a doctor, I showed her the video of what happened to Mitch McConnell today. And she said that looks exactly like a TIA, a transient ischemic attack. It is similar to that of a stroke, but it only lasts a few minutes and it doesn't cause permanent damage. About 1 in 3 people who have a TIA will eventually have a stroke, with about half occurring within a year after a TIA. So I hope Mitch McConnell is okay. But that was scary to watch that video today of him just absolutely locking up and not being able to say anything after that. If you want to see the video, and I highly encourage you to do so, just look for this story in the WDBO app. We're going to get more of your calls and comments coming up in the next hour, so stay with us here on The Joe Kelley Show. You can join us. We got a line open now at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Or use the open mic in the WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, it looks like a lot of red, a lot of brake lights out there right now with the scattered rain and heavy rain in some areas, not just some light drizzle here. I-4 eastbound, very heavy getting out of Seminole County and into Volusia County from 434 all the way across the St. John's Bridge. Getting into downtown I-4 westbound, also really bumper to bumper, stop and go from Princeton on to the 408 eastbound, and then it stays really, really slow all the way to the 417. Then you've got the 417 north and southbound. That's where the rain's hitting hard right now, and that is locked up on both sides all the way from the 408 down to Narcoossee. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's News and Talk. Connected to our community. Talk local issues and events with Joe Kelley. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let Joe know what interests you. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
You know, we make airline pilots retire at a certain age because we assume they don't have the mental acuity to safely fly airliners anymore. We make airline pilots retire at a certain age. And I don't know what the current age is. What is it, like 65, 60, something like that? I don't know. But you get the idea. I would like to see the same for our elected officials. And I know that there's a wide variety. 67 years old. Thank you very much, Ronald. 67 years old is when pilots have to retire. I think that's a perfect age for lawmakers in the U.S. Congress and in the White House to have to retire as well. 67. I think that is old enough. Even though, Donald Trump is not my guy. I voted for him twice, and I may vote for him a third time if he's the party nominee, but he is still not my guy. But I will recognize that at 77, Donald Trump really seems to have the mental acuity of someone half that age. I mean, he does not seem to be in a fog all the time like Joe Biden does, who is 80 years old. But if you missed it, I want to play for you two clips here of octogenarian lawmakers who both had major gaffes today in front of microphones. First, Joe Biden claiming he cured cancer.
Cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We ended cancer as we know it.
We ended cancer as we know it. On behalf of cancer, and I think I can safely speak on behalf of cancer, it is not cured. This as 81-year-old Mitch McConnell, the senior senator, and when I say senior senator, I mean the senior senator from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, just went into absolute vapor lock during a news conference today that he hosted.
We're on a path to... Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of...
And that's it. He just locks up. He's still looking forward. He's not looking around. He's not trying to find his place. He's just staring blankly ahead. It's the 1,000-mile stare. The rest of the Republicans start to realize there's something wrong with this guy. And they start to usher him away.
Anything else you want to say? Or should we just go back to your office?
Let's go back to your office, one of the Republican senators says.
Let's go back.
Go ahead, John.
Let's go back to
Go ahead, John.
Let's go back to your office. Let's go back to your office. So they take him away. So we're talking about that. And then, of course, on the cancer issue, we're talking about whether or not people really want to cure cancer, as there are a lot of people who don't think that there's a vested interest in curing cancer. So we're talking about aliens. Oh, we're also talking about aliens. Sorry, I forgot that part. We're also talking about aliens. As today in the U.S. Congress, there was a hearing in which a couple of whistleblowers and experts said, yeah, there's definitely aliens. Not only do we have alien tech, but we have alien biology. We have biological beings that are not human.
UAP crash retrieval and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it.
Reverse engineering program, taking apart the UFOs and figuring out how they work.
Well, whether it's aliens or not, I think someone dropped someone off from the mothership years ago, and they really need to come pick them up.
There's probably a lot of people that need to get picked up.
Daniel from New Smyrna Beach.
Hi, Daniel.
The aliens are a cover-up to keep the uninformed voter's mind off of the Biden crime family. Not a sermon, just a thought.
You know that, see, we keep touching on conspiracies, and yet I could see where you would come to that conclusion. Because it is rather interesting on the very, very, very day, almost at the very minute that Hunter Biden's plea deal goes to pot. Perhaps that's an inappropriate choice of words in dealing with Hunter Biden. While Hunter Biden's plea deal goes down the tubes, we've got witnesses testifying in the Congress that aliens are real. That does seem a bit of a distraction. Coincidence or conspiracy? Again, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I could certainly see why some people do.
Hey, Joe, I think you need to think a little bit bigger about the aliens. Think about this. Space never ends. It goes way past our universe. It's infinity. I'll say it again. It never ends. So there's got to be aliens out there, and they're not microorganisms. And oh, by the way, those F-18 pilots, they're probably some of the smartest people on the face of this planet. They know what they saw, Joe. Think bigger.
You know, and I do give deference to the F-18 pilots. Naval aviators, Air Force pilots, I understand that those are some of the brightest minds and bodies that we have in all of the United States military, in all of the United States. And I absolutely believe that they saw something. Absolutely. I just don't believe they saw extraterrestrial life. I don't believe they saw extraterrestrial vehicles.
Joe, think about it. If we are the only species in the universe, that means Maxine Waters is not from another universe.
What was it, Men in Black, when they showed everybody who the aliens, it was like Michael Jackson and a bunch of others. Yeah. Look, I know that there are people that live amongst us that are so out there that we look at them and think, yeah, that guy's an alien. And I worked with a guy in Oklahoma once who, and I mentioned this before, but I worked with a guy named Andy in Oklahoma. And Andy was entirely convinced that aliens were real and they lived amongst us. And he pointed out everybody at the radio station that we worked with that was aliens. And then he described what kind of aliens they are. He was like, oh, yeah, Dan is he's a lizard alien. And then Steve is one of the grays. And honestly, I would look at those people. I had a hard time looking at those coworkers again in the future because I was like, man, what if they are an alien? What if that's true? But it's just, I'm sorry, but it's just too. It's more than my brain can comprehend, I suppose.
We're full of aliens. Joe Biden's let almost 8 million of them into the country.
Not the same.
So, Joe, let's clarify about the cancer thing. Did he say that he cured cancer? Or that cancer was cured? Because if cancer was cured, what was cancer cured of? Because if cancer's cured, oh, wow, it's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, he says he cured cancer as we know it. Here, take a listen.
Cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We ended cancer as we know it.
Ended cancer as we know it. Honestly, and again, on behalf of cancer, I don't think anything has changed. Thankfully, due to medical research and scientists and dedicated medical personnel and doctors, we've made great advances in cancer treatments, but no cancer cures.
To say that there's no chance that there's other intelligent life in the universe, that's closing a bunch of doors. Think about this. When you see a light from a star in the sky at night, that light started off hundreds or thousands or millions or billions of years ago. We're just now seeing it today. That's history. Yeah, there's a chance.
Yeah, I get that, but yeah, I don't. I think it is a lonely universe. It's a lonely. We are alone in the universe.
Daniel from New Smyrna Beach.
Hi, Daniel.
What kills me is people think that a human embryo up until 10 weeks is just a clump of cells, but a microbe on another planet is considered proof of life.
Oh, no doubt about that. Yes, you're spot on. There's nothing more I could add to that.
Joe, to the last caller, he's correct. You can't make money by a cure, but you can make plenty of money in treatment. You can treat somebody for 20 years, where if you cure them at an early age, you've got no residual income. And the pharmaceutical companies and the congressmen and senators and everybody else involved is all in the take with their donations.
I don't know. See, here's the deal. First of all of the doctors out there, particularly the research doctors, the doctors who are, in fact, trying to find cures, every one of those doctors has an ego. And every one of those doctors would love their name attached to the cure for cancer. We learn about the name Jonas Salk in history books today because Jonas Salk cured polio. Now, I suppose one could look at that and say, damn, it's been a long time since we've cured a disease. Because how long ago did Jonas Salk cure polio? But Jonas Salk went down in history for curing polio. There is not a doctor on the planet, even if the doctor's a dermatologist or an OBGYN, there's not a doctor on the planet who wouldn't want his or her name associated with the greatest medical advancement in the history of mankind, curing cancer. And I just don't believe, I don't believe that there's some sort of government influence or corporate influence or the Trilateral Commission influence that is somehow going to kill those doctors or otherwise, cause them to be disabled or pay them off or whatever the case may be. I just do not accept that.
Hey, Joe, thing about cancer and curing it. I also believe that they have a cure for cancer, but it's not in their best interest financially to do it.
Yeah, but it's in a doctor's best interest to reveal it. And honestly, if a doctor cured cancer, if a researcher cured cancer, the doctor would want to go public very quickly with it, to make sure that his or her life was going to be protected. If, in fact, we believe that people are trying to kill anybody who cures cancer.
Good evening, Joe. I surely agree with you. We need new blood, fresh blood, fresh blood.
So at first I thought you were talking about the octogenarians we have in the Congress, but you sounded kind of passionate about fresh blood, and now I'm thinking you're a vampire. So I don't know what to believe, quite frankly, with that one.
Hey, Joe, it's John. If the esteemed senior senator from Kentucky is the bourbon drinker that I think he is, then perhaps he suffered from a bit of vapor lock.
Yeah, maybe it was a bit of the bourbon there. I don't know. More from today's congressional hearings on UFOs.
UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated. They are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena.
And I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt. But there are... a lot of times the pilots are looking at it directly with their eyes. A lot of times they're looking at it through instrumentation. They're looking at it through radars, or they're looking at it through a camera that is mounted on the plane, and they're watching it through their dashboard, if you will, through the control panel. And there can be optical illusions. That happened there. Happens all the time. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Use the open mic in the WDBO app. My name is Joe Kelley. Look for the Joe Kelley Show podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, the WDBO app, and so much more. We'll continue straight ahead.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Insightful.
You tell the truth from your point of view.
Entertaining.
Man, that guy is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio.
And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
All right, Laurel, this one's going to be for you, okay? You're our chief pet correspondent.
Okay, yeah.
You like dogs and stuff like that.
Sure do.
So dogs, according to a study, dogs, would you say they're better off or worse off in a household that has children?
Oh, interesting. Dogs themselves, probably worse off.
You are exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona State University surveyed 21,000 dog owners as part of the Dog Aging Project and found that the presence of kids in a household was negatively connected to the dog's health. The more children or time that owners dedicate to their children likely leads to less time with their furry children, according to the study.
Plus, they're loud and they're stressful. I know kids benefit from dogs, but maybe not so much the other way around.
Well, and I honestly would have thought with more kids in the house, that's more people to play with the pets. That's more
if they do it correctly, though. But, half the time they're grabbing the ears and they're taking the dog's food away and they're grabbing the tail and they're pushing the dog.
Dogs don't like that? I thought this like playing with dogs.
Not quite. It's not how you're supposed to play with a dog.
Okay. So evidently either get a dog or get children, but don't get both. Okay. Another study. These habits lengthen your life by up to 24 years. Do you want to hear what the habits are?
Oh, boy. Probably none I do.
Yeah. So, gosh, this is huge. A survey of 720,000 veterans uncovered 8 health habits that could extend your life by decades. 40-year-old men who practice these habits could add 24 years to their lives. Women could add 21 years. You want to hear what the habits are?
Yes.
Number 1, be physically active.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Well, you lost me on the first one. Never smoke. I qualify for that. A good diet. Not regularly binge drinking. Well, it depends on how you define regularly and how you define binge.
Right. Is it like multiple drinks in a day, or do you not like my nightly nightcap?
Right. Paul, are you currently destroying your health with a cocktail?
No.
Not currently.
No.
Okay.
No, not currently. No, I used to drink a lot more than I do now, but I'm still 0 for 3 on the first 3 you said. I'm dying a lot earlier.
I used to drink a lot more than I do now, and by that I mean like a few months ago. I used to drink a lot. I'm not talking about like earlier in my life. I'm talking about like during the pandemic and shortly after the pandemic. I did step up my drinking quite a bit during the pandemic. Next on the list is good sleep. Oh, that is something that I strive for every day, and I never achieve it. I never, ever, ever achieve good sleep.
I'm still waiting for one that I can relate to. All of these I'm terrible at so far.
Positive social relationships is next. I've got positive social relationships. I love people. You guys know how much I love talking to strangers and people, and I've got a lot of friends.
You seem like the half full kind of guy. The glass is half full.
I absolutely am.
Okay.
Next on the list is stress management. Oh yeah. I don't think I manage my stress. The stress manages me, right?
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. No, don't walk away, Paul, because I think
I'm dead next week at this point.
I think the next one, the last one on the list, might be the one that saves your life, or at least extends it for a few years. Legit.
And you're going to make me wait for it, huh?
No, I'm going to give it to you right now.
Okay.
Legit, the last thing on the list is to be free of opioid addiction. Oh, all right.
Yay!
Yes. I am not addicted to opioids. Neither is Paul nor Laurel, so we've at least added a few months to our lives because we're not addicted to opioids. All right, more of your calls and comments coming up straight ahead. As they say, don't nobody go nowhere. We'll continue the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Breaking news to lively debates, covering the issues that matter to you.
I make it a point to listen to Joe Kelley when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's news and talk, WDBO.
All right, Laurel, am I allowed to say that I don't like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know. He's pretty thoroughly loved throughout the world.
So I think he's a marginal actor. At best, marginal. I admire his dedication to physical fitness. There is no doubt that dude is very serious about being ripped. And I know that requires a great deal of hard work. But something that really, really bothers me about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the charity work he does publicly. And there was a big news story today that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made a donation to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation that is going to be able to help some of the actors and writers with financial support during this strike. Now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made a 7-figure donation to SAG-AFTRA. So when you hear a 7-figure donation, how many do what I do? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's $1 million. That's like $1 million. That's anywhere from $1 million to $9 million. They say it's the biggest donation ever made to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation ever. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And this is not the first time that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has very publicly done his charitable work. In fact, I remember he does a lot of it on his social media. He has a longtime body double or stunt double. They're just called doubles. Some doubles are just stand-ins for when they're trying to get the lighting right. Some are actual stunt doubles. But I would imagine it's hard to find a body double or a stunt double that resembles Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because that dude is big. He's really, really big. And imagine being a body double that you got to work out just as much and just as hard as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That would suck, because you're not getting paid anywhere near the kind of money that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is getting paid. But I do not like when people do their charity in public. The Bible is very clear about it. Matthew chapter 6. Watch out. Don't do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to somebody in need, don't do as the hypocrites do, blowing trumpets in the synagogues and streets to call attention to their acts of charity. And I know that's my perspective and filtered through my faith, but it just bugs me. I wish Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson didn't feel the need to have trumpets playing every time he does something good for somebody else. I admire him doing good things. By the way, I was talking about his body double. I didn't finish that story. So he bought his body double or stunt double or whatever, a brand new tricked out 4x4 pickup truck. And he did it all on video. I mean, Dwayne shot the video himself, showing how great he is in giving his body double, this brand new 4x4. Meanwhile, guys like Tom Brady and stuff, they give all, and it's hardly qualifies as charity. But there's a tradition in the NFL where quarterbacks give their offensive line, they give them extravagant gifts. And more times than not, we don't know what the extravagant gifts are, because generally the quarterback doesn't talk about it. Now, every now and again, the linemen will say, oh, yeah, I got a new Ferrari from, the Aaron Rodgers or whatever the case may be. But it just bugs me that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson isn't a big enough star on his own that he feels he has to publicize his charitable work in order for it to have some sort of meaning. And that just is not the case. All right, back to more comments and calls from you guys. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Of the many discussions we're talking about right now, it's whether or not, as President Biden slipped earlier today saying that he had cured cancer as we know it. Well, he hasn't. He hasn't cured cancer, but it has led to a discussion about whether or not there is an actual effort to cure cancer, or if cancer is too big of a business to actually cure it.
Joe, I understand what you're saying with the polio reference, but how long ago was that, and how long did that take? Cancer, if it's cured, will eliminate billions and billions of dollars of revenue for those companies. They will not make it back in a cure, and they will not have that. They stunt research regularly when people get close to cures for certain things.
And look, I recognize that I might be incredibly, incredibly naive on this topic, or y'all are incredibly, incredibly paranoid. One of the other is true. I fully believe I'm leaning towards the y'all are paranoid, but y'all are leaning towards I'm naive, and I get that.
The government paid to map the DNA genome, and all the information went to the pharmaceutical companies. They have the map the DNA genome to cure cancer. It's more financial incentive to give treatments than it is to cure it. Have a nice night.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
The Earth is flat. There's no way out of the dome. There's no such thing as space. For all you guys out there that think space was real, you've been fooled. We've never been to the moon. It's just a luminary. It's just a light. You guys wake up. Open your eyes.
Where did we go with that? Hang on. I think that same guy left a second open mic.
Here's another one, Joe. All those Starlink satellites they're putting up there, Elon Musk, that's going to be when they try to fool everybody into thinking aliens are real, because those Starlink satellites are going to shoot down holograms of spaceships. That's when they're going to fool everybody.
That guy should have his own radio show.
Right. We could call him Art Bell.
Yep.
And he could host his own radio show.
And then in 50 years, we're all going to be proved that the Earth is flat.
Right. And honestly, again, I'm willing to entertain that I am tragically naive. And I'm also willing to entertain that y'all are tragically paranoid. I really think either could be true. But at the moment, I'm siding with y'all are all paranoid. Hang on, we'll continue. More of your calls and comments. Don't nobody go nowhere. Stay right where you are. We'll continue. Coming up next.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. Join the conversation now by using the open mic in the WDBO app. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
All right. If you're just joining us, we've got multiple tabs open on the Talk Radio docket. The Talk Radio browser here this afternoon. We are talking about the really, really old people in the U.S. Congress. You've got to see the video of 81-year-old Senator Mitch McConnell as he locks up for 30 seconds during a news conference, and ultimately people not quite as old as him have to guide him back to his office. Then 80-year-old Joe Biden claims to have ended cancer, which we know that is not the case. And then we're talking about aliens, intelligent life from outer space, and UFOs that are from outer space, from intelligent alien life forms that are non-humanoids. I think that's all we're covering at the moment. So you can join us at 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic in the WDBO app.
Okay, Joe. So you're such a God-loving person and fearing person. Why would you think that he would only create us? This universe is pretty large. You would think that after he made such a flawed person, species, whatever, he'd try again. Come on now.
Oh, well, funny you ask that. So God is well aware that he made mistakes with the human race. God is well aware of the treachery of sin. You'll recall that God started all over again after Adam and Eve. When Eve took a bite of the apple, God stripped them of the heaven that they were living in. They were living in the Garden of Eden. So God threw out the original plan for humanity and subjected humanity to sin. Again, if you believe in the Bible, that wasn't the only time God wiped out the earth and said, let's start over again. The Great Flood would be another example. God only saved a handful of people, Noah and his family, and he wiped out all the rest. So I do believe in what you're saying, that God would try again, because God did try again.
Concerning this latest episode with Mitch McConnell having TIA, lockjaw, or whatever you want to call it, it makes it abundantly clear that we desperately need to put in-term limits at Capitol Hill. I mean, look at Dianne Feinstein, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
This has got to come to an end to get these dinosaurs who refuse to retire back home.
No doubt about that. Get this one here.
The person that claimed that we know how to cure cancer, but they're not doing it for pay, acts like doctors don't get cancer too.
Yeah, doctors do get cancer.
Hey, this is Rob from Orlando. Look, as far as cancer goes, doctors die of cancer, scientists die of cancer, CEOs die of cancer, politicians die of cancer, nurses die of cancer. If there was a cure, do you really think all those people would hide it?
I don't. I don't believe all those people would hide it. I believe if there was a cure, it would be made available to the public. Maybe at a really steep price, but it would be certainly publicly known. I'm Joe Kelley. Thank you so much for being a part of the Joe Kelley Show here on WDBO. We'll be back with you tomorrow afternoon, 5 till 7, right here on WDBO.